couple of weeks ago, I was really inspired and decided to write an essay. This is my essay for you. It's titled, The Veteran Problem in Hot Dogs. Today, I took a homeless veteran out for hot dogs. I don't like handouts, but a short-haired, exhausted-looking man wearing camouflage pants brought my mother's virtues of helping others into my head. I thought it was a small way for a high school student to put some love into this world, so I bought Joe a hot dog. Actually, I bought him 2 hot dogs, a large fries, and a small root beer because they tasted much better than dumpster food. And while we ate, he told me a story in broken pieces. Joe had served 3.5 years in Afghanistan for the U.S. Army. When he returned to the States 9 months ago, his wife had left him with a 17-month-old baby, who he's never met. He is 23 now and has been traveling around the country after being dishonorably discharged. His travels brought him to Colorado for the comparatively cheap marijuana, and he had been in my hometown for about a day and a half. What Joe did not tell me was that he had a long scar across his face, presumably from an activity more combative than chess. He was dirty and weathered. Everyone in the small restaurant stayed out of his way. I noticed a tattoo on his neck, which must be recent because that type of tattoo is forbidden in the Army, and he was hungry. Then we talked about the homeless problem in my city, which has only 100,000 occupants, but, according to Joe, has an incredibly large homeless population that makes it impossible for anyone who just wants some money for a burger to get a burger. I tried to explain that it was because them, or the homeless, just hang out near my school all day. However, while writing this essay, I realized that many of these individuals have similar stories. While society looks down upon them, they are the other 1%, not the super rich, but the warriors that fight our nation's enemies. Joe continues the story. He was shot twice and has bullet fragmentation in his knee and hip. He is a car mechanic and he worked in Chicago for a little while. While in the Army, he became a specialist in math and learned calculus. I was surprised by his ability to speak well and his attentiveness, despite little sleep and lots of traveling. He was robbed $2,000 in Chicago, and he is still trying to recover. Now, the Anarchy A tattooed his neck because he did what he was told for his entire life and then got fucked. Excuse my language. So the question I asked myself was, why did I help him? Why should anyone help anyone else? My parents support me, yet I have never paid rent nor brought home groceries. They owe me nothing. Also, many veterans are only a few years older than me, but, unlike me, they have fought our nation's enemies thousands of miles away. There are several different types of discharge for enlisted soldiers or non-officers, and subsequent ramifications for each. Many veterans meet or exceed military standards and receive an honorable discharge for their exemplary service. This type of discharge places no hindrance to civilian assimilation, a well-earned reward for a soldier's positive service. On the other hand, as the quality of discharge decreases, so does an individual's eligibility to receive veterans' benefits. Joe was dishonorably discharged, the worst form of discharge. Not only is he ineligible for military benefits, but he will be escorted out of the VA, or the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, VA for short. A dishonorable discharge is defined as a severe crime and subsequent conviction by a military court. This is generally considered a felony in the civilian domain. There generally are the top 3 crimes: rape, murder, and desertion. In contrast, military courts tend to be notably less favorable for the defendant than a civilian court. Just like civilian courts, military courts are not black and white. Involuntary discharge can be the result of bad conduct, another punitive form of discharge, such as misconduct and drug abuse. Indeed, there are criminally minded individuals who receive such convictions. In contrast to most civilians, soldiers are under significantly higher levels of stress and psychological strain that can alter a soldier's reality and furthermore can result in bad behavior from generally good people. Soldiers who struggle with the horrors of war can snap or do something irrational, a problem that the military historically has difficulty identifying and actually relieving, not just from blanket administration of medication. Having spent an afternoon with Joe, I believe him to be a victim of the latter type, not a criminal or a felon. Over 216,000 American veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan have mild to severe post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD for short. It's the most common combat-related ailment. PTSD is treatable with therapy and sometimes medication. However, if a veteran is discharged dishonorably, they cannot receive any veterans benefits, no matter the injury or illness. Joe has PTSD, like many others, but cannot receive treatment. If the United States fights wars, young men and women, like Joe, will answer the call of duty. For their sacrifice and commitment, we, as a society, do owe these individuals for the services they've earned. According to GoArmy.com, the typical length of service for an active duty soldier is between 2 and 6 years. Although I cannot verify Joe's Army career, it appears that he served his full-length commitment of 6 months in training followed by 3 year-long tours in Afghanistan. He implies that this type of discharge was a result of self-medication on the 16-foot marijuana plants that grow wild in Afghanistan. for his PTSD and wounds because the Army had neglected his mental health and physical health care. For this exact reason, he was in my hometown, where marijuana is high quality, cheap, and abundant. Please, do not interpret this as a pro-marijuana or anti-war treatise. Joe could be nursing an addiction. It just seems unfair that Joe's complete military service was negated for this particular reason. Before Joe left, he told me why he still gives a shit. He wants to find his baby girl. Simple as that. He wants to provide her with the care that was denied to him. Even with the stigma out of place in his way, he plans on returning to his home, 1,100 miles away in South Carolina. Maybe I'm naive, but I think he'll make it. I think he'll find his baby girl. He could use a little help, but he'll find her. I thought he was going to eat both hot dogs because he was so hungry. Yet he wrapped one up for his girlfriend so they wouldn't have to worry about dinner. And then Joe walked away with a small paper bag and 2 bullets in his hip and knee. My name is Brian. Thanks very much for watching. If you would like to leave a comment or anything, that'd be great. I have a couple links that I will put on the page. Thank you.